And now, live in studio, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, a real estate and finance expert, and goes to bat for you every day as your consumer advocate. Your host, Brandon Rhymes.
Yes, here we are again, another day committed to picking a fight with the mainstream media and providing you the timely truth. Centered around your real estate, credit, finance, estate planning, tax planning, and over 80 other categories with our two shows, the Real Estate Quarterback Show and our second brand, the Consumer Quarterback Show. And we all want to educate, entertain, and enlighten, but most importantly, we want to engage you in an effort to help you win in any marketplace.
The only thing I'm addicted to right now is winning.
Now, I want you to pull out your smartphone, save our Consumer Advocate Hotline number in your phone because at some point you're going to need it. 813-917-1894.
You used to call me on my cell phone.
813-917-1894. And we want you to bookmark our website, realestateradiotampa.com. That's our website, blog site, a plethora of information available. You can see all of our current listings from Platinum MVP Realty, as well as Expert Contributors tab. If you click on that Expert Contributors tab, you'll see all of our contact information for all of our expert contributors. And this is Intelligent Talk Radio. I've got some intelligent folks here in studio. And we don't care if you're climbing a corporate ladder or if you throw a ladder in your truck on the way to work. This show's for you. We want to help you win. Let's go around the horn now, make our introductions. And back in studio, Naim, Synergistic Funding. Welcome back in, sir.
Thank you.
Excellent.
What's going on?
What are we going to talk about today?
Well, we're going to mix it up today.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of didn't want anything structured, and I wanted to bring one of our clients and to give you an example of what Synergistic Funding actually does. Yeah, I could tell you about it over and over and over, but until you hear it from one of our customers, you're not going to really get the feel of what we do.
Let's go ahead and introduce that customer. You brought him in today. Thanks for bringing him in. This is Mr. Rick Parsons, Ricky P's Creole Kitchen. Welcome in.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. So you operate a restaurant here in the Bay Market?
It's a New Orleans-style restaurant in St. Petersburg, and nice. We've just moved from downtown St. Pete out to 4th Street, a little bit north of Gandy, so we're practically neighbors.
Very good. Very good. I love it. New Orleans style, right?
That's
New
right.
Orleans style. And also the Mortgage Maverick is in the house, Mr. Curt Lorden, the Mortgage Maverick, Interlink Mortgage.
What's going on, Brandon?
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, but I think I'm pregnant.
Uh-oh.
Well, I've had these weird food cravings. Like this morning, I had French toast, and I haven't eaten French toast since I was like 8. And then in the green room, Naim, who I've known forever, is a fraternity brother of mine, said, "Curt, looks like you're putting on weight. You working on?" I said, "Nope, I'm just finding all the fat that everyone keeps losing." So I'm either fattening myself up for the zombie apocalypse, which will be a tasty meal, or I might be the first man in history to become, or that is pregnant.
Or it may be from that Zika thing, man.
It could be that
I've
Zika.
heard that has something to do with it.
I thought Zika got you sick and you lost weight.
I don't know. It has something to do with pregnancy. I don't know. Maybe it came from a female and it bit you.
I guess so.
I'll tell you what, having Rick here is not going to help.
I know. And I've been to New Orleans like 50 times, and I love that cuisine. So, but I'm actually going to tell Radioland how to buy a house under market in today's seller environment.
I love that. Yeah, because we have great radio stations here. We're on 1250 Winds Monday through Friday. On the weekend, we're on FM. We're on 102.5 The Bone. Some great radio stations, but everyone's favorite radio station is WIIFM. What's in it for me? So I love that, Curt. You're going to help them understand buying conditions and understand how they can take advantage of things in the marketplace. So highly respected mortgage lender here in Tampa Bay as co-host for the day. And I'm the owner of Platinum MVP Realty as well. I'm a top listing agent here in Tampa Bay, featured in Florida Realtor Magazine multiple times, Tampa Bay Business Journal, The Tribune. Most recently, Top Agent Magazine called me up last week doing a feature story in Top Agent Magazine. So I've got a couple of hot listings here. Real quick, I just want to jump into 8156 Causeway Boulevard South in St. Petersburg. This is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath property, South Causeway Isle, $646,000, waterfront beauty, and it's on a wide canal of Boca Ciega Bay, 125 feet of water frontage. Great buying opportunity here in lovely Tampa Bay. as well as 18003 Cozumel Isle Drive in Tampa. This is one of my favorite listings of all times here. This is Corey Lake Isles, 5 bedrooms, 4 bath, over 3,690 square feet heated, and it's a modern chic 24-inch glass tile. I mean, this is an infinity edge pool overlooking the lake at $1.199 million. Great buying opportunity here in lovely Tampa Bay. All right, Naim. So back in studio here. We've heard from Curt. For our listeners out there, you've heard from Curt on the show. You've heard from Nassim, and now we've got Naim in studio here representing Synergistic Funding. And what I love about your company is that, you know, it's providing small business owners that capital that they need to fuel that engine to keep growing. Let's talk a little bit about that.
That's right. So, I mean, the way that we initially came up with the actual strategy of bringing funding to consumers as we looked at our book of business of all of these clients that we service, over 3,000 clients in the Tampa Bay area, and they all had a different funding need. And most of those businesses are great businesses. They just don't qualify for traditional banking.
Right.
So when we said to ourselves, okay, how do we streamline this in order to bring funding to everybody, we began to look at the alternative lending solutions. And when we looked at the alternative lending solutions, we identified over 60 types of products that don't exist at banks. Mm-hmm. Right? So one of those products, Rick was able to take advantage of. You know, Rick's circumstances happen to be great. Actually, it's an awesome restaurant, right? He's been open for 5 years, correct? Mm-hmm. You know, he's doing the cash flow. He's checking all the boxes.
Yep.
One box wasn't checked out of those boxes. So one bank after another bank gave him rejections. Yep. And basically they give him the runaround.
Right.
They say, okay, complete this application. Let me have the credit committee review it. Mm-hmm. And then they take you through that song and dance.
Yep.
And then in the end, they say, sorry, we can't do anything.
Yep.
So I'm going to let Rick tell you. I don't want people to hear it from me. I want people to hear it from Rick in terms of how we handled the call from the beginning until we got to funding.
Love it. Love it. Let's hear it.
Well, like Naim said, the aspect of being an entrepreneur is fraught with hidden dangers. I mean, you kind of go into it where you have an idea that you have a product or a service that there's a market for. And so in the restaurant business, it's notorious for its failure rate.
Right.
Startup restaurants are just a very risky business.
Got to be less than 10%
of that make it through the first 2 years. Yeah, it's around 10%. So we had started in 2009 as a little sandwich shop with 6 tables and seating for 20, and we were a hit. We were doing New Orleans style PoBoys on 4th Street.
Nice.
And we're doing it the right way. I grew up in New Orleans, worked my way through school as a cook and as a po' boy maker in New Orleans, and have always had an affinity for that. And at 55 years old, I got hit with the recession cutbacks and lost my job of 20 years, making 6+ figures a year. And so it was an opportunity at that point for me to say, do I look for a job or do I create a job?
Right.
And so I created REQB's PoBoys with my wife, Lisa. And we started small because if we were going to fail, we wanted it to be a small failure. Yeah. And so, and we were a hit. And, you know, and people loved the food and we loved doing it. And so we got stars in our eyes and moved into this 150-seat restaurant in downtown St. Petersburg, and created the REQB's Orleans Bistro, and we were there. We're right next to Tropicana Field and in the Edge District, and we got there 4.5 years ago when it was just starting to grow. And we, in our first year, did over $1 million in sales.
Nice.
And we thought we were onto it. And so, you know, but again, a lot of things that people don't know about the restaurant business is the margins, the profit margins are single digit.
Yeah.
The best ones can get into the 10 to 15%. And the high volume restaurants are the ones that they still have single digit margins, but the volume creates the cash flow or the profit.
Yeah.
So in today's world, $1 million sounds good.
Yep.
but it's not that much money.
Right.
And so when we decided to move the restaurant to 4th Street to get away from the high rent and the competition, we needed some funding. Yeah. And I started looking to my bank. I started looking at SBA loans. And just like Naim said, I got a lot of promises and no results.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I found Naim.
Well, we're going to tell that story when we come back, and we're going to jump right into that, how that transition happened, and traditionally, and that's one of our biggest things that we talk about here on the show is that we want you to support local lenders, local economy, and drive right past those big banks on the corner. Those are the guys that took the bailout money. Those are the guys that gave the golden parachute, millions and millions of dollars to their CEOs. Don't support the big banks, okay? So stay with us. When we come back, we're going to talk more with Naim, Synergistic Funding, and also Ricky P's owner here in studio as well, Mr. Rick Parsons. And so stay with us. Don't touch that dial. You're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show, realestateradiotampa.com.
This is Work Done, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. I'm Brandon Rhymes, your host here, Real Estate Quarterback Show, owner of Platinum MVP Realty, former USF football player. Played on the inaugural team under Coach Levitt back in the day, celebrating 20 years now of USF football. Real excited. We've got a 10-win season coming up. We're projected to win 10 this season, so we're real excited. Intelligent Talk Radio, I've got some intelligent folks here in studio, some entrepreneurs here in studio, local business owners here. And in the first segment, we heard from Naim with synergistic funding, talking about these alternative types of funding, business funding, lines of credit, all types of different types of consulting as well available. And we're talking with Mr. Rick Parsons. He's the owner of REQB's Creole Kitchen. REQB's located on 4th Street North in St. Petersburg. And we were kind of talking about before the break the transition. So just kind of recap in case they just tuned in. Small business owners here in Tampa Bay market, we want you to have other options outside of your traditional lending. You think of the big banks typically. We want you driving right by those guys and going to our website at consumerqb.com. Check out consumerqb.com. You can see expert contributors tab there. Click on that, and you'll see Naim and his team's information there, and a great team they have over there, as well as we're going to hear more from Curt Lorden as well. He's the branch manager with Interlink Mortgage here, local lender, mortgage lender here in Tampa Bay. But yeah, let's go back to Mr. Parsons here. Tell us a little bit about how that transition happened and what kind of service and the whole product line of what you were offered.
Well, what had happened was when we started the REQBs on Central, I had some money set aside, my 401k from working in the business world, and so I thought I had enough money to seed myself to get it going and then let the business take care of itself. But that's not exactly how it works a lot of the time, is that all of a sudden that 401k, which you think you have enough money, starts to dwindle pretty quickly as unforeseen expenses come up. Business doesn't go the way that you forecasted. And so we got ourselves in a jam, my wife and I, personally. We basically, at 55 plus years old, I didn't really have a plan of action to fall back on other than making my restaurant work. It was like playing World Series poker, man. I was all in. And so we had to make it work. And so we had to make some difficult financial decisions about whether we save our home and our savings or we save our business. And we decided that we needed to save our business because we knew we had a product that there was a market for. We needed the momentum to go into the next part of the growth of a restaurant is to start building it. And so that was one of the reasons why we decided to move back to 4th Street, was to lower and simplify our overhead and still grow our business and have our business model have a strong cash flow without as much expenses, and so that we would have a profitable business from this point forward. Well, the decisions that we made put a black mark on our personal credit.
Right.
And so even though we had no debt, we owed no one other than our mortgage company, and we refinanced our mortgage company and got a modified loan and were able to save our home. Our vendors are all cash with order. We don't have any kind of credit for the restaurant. It's just not a good idea because you never know what's going to happen. We have a storm come in and you don't have business for 3 days. It hurts. So when we started to think about moving, we knew that we needed some cash. We knew we had construction costs. We knew we had startup costs. We had people that were going to be on payroll from the transition that we wanted to keep, and we're going to keep them on payroll even though we weren't open for business. We needed some money. Right. And so I went the traditional route, and all I got was, we can do that. Yeah, this looks good. Your cash flow is strong. We'll be able to do something for you. And then 3 weeks later,
drag you out.
Sorry, your credit score was below the number, and we can't do anything for you. So I'm sitting in New Orleans, by the way, with one of my best friends, my best friend, and he works with Naim as a business consultant, and they're having a conversation on the phone, and I'm listening to Gary talk to Naim, and when he gets off the phone, I go, "Do you think Naim could help me?" And so sure enough, Gary makes a call. I get back into town, and this is like the middle of May, and Naim and I hook up. We have a conversation. He tells me what he does. It was May 20th or something we had a conversation. By June 6th, I had my funding.
Wow.
And it was it was actually more than I thought that I needed, and he recommended that I take the more, but I took the less.
Yeah.
Now I wish I'd have listened to him and taken the more, because it never goes the way you think it goes when you open a new business. It's always going to cost you more money, but we got the funding. We're able to do everything we needed to do. We opened up our beautiful new location about a month ago, and we're going to be celebrating our official grand opening next Thursday the 22nd.
Nice. Yeah, I love it. Celebrating the entrepreneurial spirit here on the Real Estate Quarterback Show. If you just joined us, we're talking with Naim, representing Synergistic Funding, as well as Rick Parsons. He's the owner of REQB's Creole Kitchen, and we just talked about a success story of, a funding situation for a small business that the traditional banks are going to say, oh, yeah, it looks good. We got cash flow. Yeah, we can probably make this happen. 3 weeks later, the answer is no. And then a 15, 20-day turnaround time with Naim and his team over at Synergistic.
And I got to tell you another part of this story that was just really, really cool about working with Naim. I am not tech savvy. I'm one of those that, go to your browser and click on this and fill this out. And I'm just, I know how to make a roux.
Yeah,
that's basic, So Naim never made me feel stupid. He never made me feel inadequate. He walked me through everything. He was patient enough with me that when I couldn't even do it the way he said, it's so simple, just do this, I couldn't do it. He got in his car and drove over to St. Petersburg and picked up the paperwork from my office, as opposed to me fumbling around trying to email it or whatever, electronic transfer. And so that kind of service, that kind of attitude about making it happen is such a breath of fresh air when it comes to talking with financial institutions. Most of them are more interested in telling you, you got to go through all of these hoops just to say no. He just said, don't go through a hoop, I'll come to you. And said yes.
Because there's nothing more stressful than, sometimes the generational gap or the technology gap that comes with business, and it can lead to a lot of stress. So Naim and his team at Synergistic Funding, they eliminated the stress. They made it an awesome transaction for you, quick funding, and you were able to keep operating your business.
And the thing to note is, he was very, because of the margins on his business.
Yep.
Right. We couldn't go with a more expensive type of loan. We could have gotten him the funds basically the next day. Right. If he told me this is an emergency, I need it tomorrow. Well, I could do that. It's just going to be a little bit more.
Yeah.
But what we do is take the time to understand his business and what his needs are and the time frame that he has, and we structure the right deal for him.
Right.
So it's a very customized approach, and it's different for every customer.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what makes us a little bit more unique than alternative lenders out there or the banks.
Yeah, absolutely. We want you supporting local lenders here, and Naim and his team. I've heard numerous stories now with different folks that you brought on the show. Something as simple as calling the company. One of the folks that came in last time, they said the very first phone call was hey, is so and so there? They said no, but how can I help you? What are you looking for? How can we help you? Not just dropping you into a voicemail box that happens so often with our businesses these days. You call, you go through the phone tree, hit this for that, hit this for that. And and then one that gets me the worst is I had something on my bill, and I think it might have been an Apple, and it said it has an 800 number. I'm like, oh good, I can call and talk to somebody. You call that number, and guess what it says? Go to www.this or that, and that's where you're going to find your answer. So customer service, local business owners here in Tampa Bay, helping out local communities, and Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater. There's a lot of great things happening. We're going to talk about this story as well. How much money are people making in Tampa region from Patch.com? We're going to talk about this with Curt Lorden as well, and talk about some of the median incomes and how that affects down payment assistance programs for people looking to buy their residential properties. And with the Real Estate Quarterback Show, we want you to think outside the box of just traditional real estate. Think about duplexes, triplexes, quads, apartment complexes. land banks. There's so many different reasons why people want to invest in real estate. We're going to talk about some of the appreciation, some of the growth, and our local mayors are doing a great job of attracting new businesses here, new intellectual capital. We've got Amazon out in East County. So many great things developing with downtown. The first ever wellness district ever in the United States, going to be developed by the Vinnick team downtown as well. And so when we come back, we're going to talk with Curt Lorden as well. We're going to also hear more from Naim with synergistic funding and talk about this story, talking about the metro, including communities of Hillsborough, Pasco, Hernando, Pinellas counties, and the medium incomes, things happening in the Tampa Bay market. And this segment is brought to you by Michael Vogt with Back In Health Massage, helping people with neck, back, shoulder, hip, and leg pain feel better. Big shout out to Michael Vogt over at Back In Health Massage, voted top 10 massage services in Tampa Bay by the readers of the Tampa Bay Business Journal. So stay with us. Don't touch that dial. You're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show, realestateradiotampa.com.
Enjoy tranquil seclusion in an eco-lover's paradise. Paddling through the mangroves where the only sounds you'll hear are the sounds of nature. Because you deserve to relax on vacation, visit Pasco County, Florida.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonatti created, perfected, and patented the Bonatti spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonatti invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonatti spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonatti succeeds where others fail.
Ever need a doctor after hours? Well, searching won't help. But what do? You could go to the urgent care or ER, but if only there was a better way. Introducing the MNO Plus card. No waiting rooms, no copay, no consultation fee, giving you 24/7 access to a doctor by phone or online. It's easy to get started with affordable plans starting at $15 a month for a family of 5. For more information, visit mnoplus.com today.
Everyone's story is different, so why be limited to just one or two options? With Norcom's Norflex Home Loan, you're given the flexibility to tell your story. Pick your terms from 8 to 30 years, all while maintaining a low, fixed mortgage rate. You can pay off your loan more quickly or choose a term based on your budget and timeline. Whatever you do with the Norflex Home Loan, make it part of your financial plan. Norflex. Short-term, long-term, your terms. Apply online at norcommortgage.com.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. I'm Brandon Rhymes, your host of the Real Estate Quarterback Show, owner of Platinum MVP Realty. And we're looking for great agents out there. Any other real estate agents that may want to join our team? We're looking to grow our team. We've got explosive growth happening. Also looking for show producers that might want to help us growing the radio show, TV show side of our business as well. And so, Curt, we're going to talk about this article here. How much money are people making in the Tampa Bay region? This from Patch.com. It says residents of the Tampa Bay region are seeing rising incomes, according to new data released Thursday by the U.S. Census Bureau. And the rise in local median incomes comes as a nation as the most large metro areas are seeing similar increases. So in the Tampa Bay market, talks about Hernando, Hillsborough, Pasco, Pinellas counties, and the median household income was $448,911 in 2015, so just short of 49,000, and that's up from 46,876 a year earlier. City of Tampa's median income is at 44,432, down slightly from a year earlier. St. Pete's household incomes were similar to the region at 48,858, a more than $2,500 increase from previous year. And across Florida, median income households are at 49,426, still below the national average of 56,516. So interesting story. We're seeing growth. We're seeing things happening in the market. What's your take on that?
Yeah, it's very interesting, and I got to say, I actually like the earbuds better than the over-the-head microphone. I feel like or the headphones. I feel like I'm in the Secret Service.
There you go.
Well, they did a study, and it came across the news feed that nationally we gained, I think, a little over 5%, which is the largest wage growth, I think, in like 60 years.
Wow.
So we're seeing it not only on a local level, but a national level, which is great, great signs for our economy. But, it puts us in a really good position to be able to buy these homes and get into real estate. You talked earlier about, the down payment assistance program, and we had a big manager call 2 days ago. And it looks like that might be going away because the regulators, the wonderful people that created TRID and everything else, are stating that lenders are using a higher interest rate to pay for these costs on behalf of the borrower. So it would be a travesty if it actually did, if they took it away.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's unfortunate because it's taking away a large segment of people that need to get into a home, instead of renting and build that wealth. And, they talk about how the housing market is driving our economy. Well, why take something like that away?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. So, earlier we talked about ways to buy a home without getting into a huge bidding war. And what we want to do is, during the holidays, real estate drops. I've talked to a bunch of agents. I've done a bunch of lunch and learns over the past couple of months, and they're like, oh, yeah, during the holidays, nothing moves. That's actually false.
Yeah.
So you want to go out and you want to buy these homes when other people aren't.
Right.
There's going to be less competition, less bidding wars, and the seller is more apt to take your offer now, because if not, they usually have to wait till after the first of the year.
Yep.
And that could come into, capital gains and everything else, and tax implications depending on what the seller's positioning in. Plus, if you look at it, how great would it be to actually buy your home and spend your first holiday season in your brand new home?
Yeah.
Your first Christmas, your first Hanukkah, or whatever you celebrate out there in Radio Land, be able to build those memories right off the bat.
Yep.
So, plus we got word that rates are now at a all-time high since Brexit.
Yep.
Which is based on the Fed's idiocy and the fact that she's just not making any move.
Yeah.
Once she decides, or they decide to raise the Fed rate, you'll see our rates trickle back down on a mortgage level, which is good. I mean, they're still low. It's not like they're in the fives. They're still in the high threes, low fours. It's just a little bit higher than it was a month ago.
Yeah. Great points you made there, especially since we are in Q4 now. And I hear that same type of sentiment sometimes when I'm going out to list appointments or, calling on the phone, speaking to folks, is, a lot of times people say, well, I don't want to make a move around, the holidays, or, I just don't want to deal with the stress. But there's still a lot of buyers that are coming in from out of state. They're transferring jobs, they're transferring schools, whatever that situation might be on the buying side. That makes it a great idea as a listing side, on the listing side of selling your assets, to make that move now rather than later, because of, and then the tax implications as well. But yeah, you're absolutely right. We're already in a low inventory market. There's not much inventory on the marketplace. So the buyers are, getting frustrated. They're going out, when they see a new property hit the market, multiple offers, highest and best situations, submit your highest. So there's a lot of frustration on the buyer side. So if you're a seller out there, what I want to do is I want to make an offer to you. I'll give you a valuation. Of course, we would love to do a valuation for you, do a comparable market analysis. But what I'm going to do for the first 3 listeners today, and this is today only, for the first 3 listeners that want to call or text in, what I'll do is I'll do a 2% listing for you. So on the listing side of the commission, on the transaction side, I'm going to do a 2% listing for the first 3 listeners who call in or text our hotline. It's 813-917-1894. You're going to get all the expert exposure that we're going to give you through our unique systems as well, and we're going to save you a little bit of money on that because we need to have more inventory in Tampa Bay. So give us a call on our hotline at 813-917-1894. Call or text for a 2% listing at 813-917-1894.
You used to call me on my cell phone.
We love it. We love it when the hotline blings. So just give us a call. And this segment is brought to you, by the way, by the Maids Cleaning Service. They do a great job cleaning our real estate properties. 24-hour, 100% satisfaction guaranteed. Big shout out to the Maids Cleaning Service. They are referred for a reason. And so what else you seeing out there, Curt?
Well, we are successfully beating the big banks. Over the past 30 days, we've seen a huge increase in individuals utilizing our services versus, the big 3 that you see out there.
Yep.
And, the consumer's starting to become educated and saying, okay, you know what? I might pay a little bit more to have the service, to not have the stress, to have the loan closed 30 days or less. Because you look at the opportunity cost. If you have to extend your contract, let's say you have to have another month's rent, that's $1,500, $1,100, whatever. Not to mention if you have to extend your contract and you are approved and the seller decides not to extend it, they have every right to keep your earnest money deposit. So that's just money lost as well. Or the stress of changing movers on the day of closing, that costs money. Extending your electricity bill or moving that out. There's always small fees in regards to that. So they're realizing that using a local lender, using the concierge service, having, what Naim had stated as far as doing that customizable approach, that's what we do on our end, on the residential lending side, and he does it on the business side. So really they're, finding out exactly what your clients are looking to accomplish and giving them that peace of mind it's working. People are listening.
Yeah, absolutely. I see the growth. We had Barry Habib on the show, and he was talking about great things that you're doing at Interlink Mortgage, local lender, conveniently located throughout Tampa Bay. Got a Safety Harbor office, got a Tampa office. You can go meet people at their homes, and we're talking about refinancing, purchasing, so many different things you can do with our quarterback show partners. Again, over 80 show partners now, and we want you to think of this show as the hub of your financial will. Each spoke is sending out representing another one of our preferred partners, the finest folks in all of Tampa Bay and the Gulf Coast region of Florida that we've assembled to help you win in any marketplace, no matter what you're facing. Back on the market, I want to pitch something here for all of our builders, entrepreneurs, developers, people looking to maybe put in an assisted living facility, which I think is so important in Tampa Bay. But I've got 7504 Gardner Road that's back on the market. This is an interesting property, 27-acre ranch, and it's located just south of the Citrus Park Mall. So we're talking about the heart of Hillsborough County here, just kind of like the West Hillsborough area. Off of Sheldon Road at Gardner Road, 7504 Gardner Road. It's I believe it's $1.27 million for the 3 different parcels that comprise this property. But it's a great buying opportunity, especially if you want to develop, you want to go in and put an assisted living facility in to this area, or even just build some custom homes. Builders, developers, reach out. This property just went back on the market on Gardner Road, and it's a great buying opportunity here in lovely Tampa Bay. What else you seeing out there, Curt?
Well, so Michael Vokes is still in studio, which is awesome because he's a Michigan fan, and I'm an Ohio State fan. And yes, your head coach did pick his nose on the sideline, and he did eat it.
No.
Really?
Yeah, he really did. It was hysterical.
They got him. Oh my goodness. Hey, you got to be careful these days. Pretty much anywhere you go, you're on camera.
Oh, I know. It's insane.
There's so many cameras out there, and
Ohio State knows all about that. Their coach punched some guy on the sidelines and
That
Michael
was a
Sands.
long time ago. Can I make a request that during Michigan Ohio State week, Michael and I are on the same show together?
That'd be fun.
All right,
That'd be a lot of fun. Yeah, we'll do it. Yeah. So when we come back, we're going to be jumping into our lightning round. We're going to give you some top consumer tips, things to do, things to avoid, even tips for our business owners out there, and through our motivational minutes with the real estate quarterback. And we're going to hear more from Rick Parsons, Ricky P's Creole Kitchen, as well as Naim from Synergistic Funding, and Curt Lorden here in studio, Interlink Mortgage, and a top lender here in the Tampa Bay market. And we're going to come into our lightning round, talk to you about things happening in the marketplace, and help you win no matter what you're facing. This segment is brought to you by Target Surveying. They do a lot of great surveys for our real estate properties out there. Big shout out to Shane Price, over at Target Surveying. So realestateradiotampa.com.
This is Work Done, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show, hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. I'm Brandon Rhymes, your host here, Real Estate Quarterback Show, owner of Platinum MVP Realty. And this segment is brought to you by Hula Bay. It's the official restaurant partner of the Real Estate Quarterback Show. Big shout out to Hula Bay down on South Gandy Boulevard there. Waterfront ambiance, sushi, excellent food and dining. Say hello to Mike Finnegan. Let him know the Real Estate Quarterback sent you for a free water with lemon. He's going to hook you up down there. Just go say hello. Let him know the Real Estate Quarterback sent you. And I got a hot listing for this segment here. I've got 700 St. Petersburg Drive West in Oldsmar. This is a commercial opportunity on a corner lot, over a quarter acre with 50 feet of frontage, and it's listed at $295,000, 1,400 square foot building at 700 St. Petersburg Drive West in Oldsmar. Great buying opportunity, as well as our featured property of the month. This property is actually going to be on a major syndicated, nationally televised syndicated show at 414 South Royal Palm Way in Tampa in Beach Park. 33609, one of the most popular zip codes in all of Tampa Bay. 4 bedrooms, 3 full bath, 2 half bath, over 4,800 square foot heating, beautiful fenced in estate style home, large pool, listed at $1.195 million here in lovely Tampa Bay.
No shoes, no shirt, and no problem.
All right, in studio we've got Mr. Rick Parsons. He's the owner of REQB's Creole Kitchen and a client of Naim over at Synergistic Funding. Talked about in the earlier segments. In case you missed the show, you can go to YouTube, pull up all of our previous shows. But talked about an interesting story about how he was turned down from the banks and was able to reach out to Naim and his team over at Synergistic Funding and obtain financing and some injection of cash that's so needed. It's so critical in running a small business, operating a small business. Also, we're talking with Curt Lorden here, branch manager, Interlink Mortgage. And what else you seen out there, Curt?
Well, so I talked to about 12 people over the past week that all own homes. Yep. And I'm like, well, why aren't you listing your house? Yep. Like, well, we're afraid that we're not going to get as much out of it as we need because home prices are going up. So we're not going to get the house that we desire.
The replacement
The replacement, exactly. And I said, well, why don't you buy another house and rent yours out? Because you can do a lease option to buy based on projected home values, or you can just hold on to it, and now it's an income-producing property.
Yep.
And we ran through the balance sheet, ran through the numbers, the analytics, everything like that, and it really opened their eyes up and said, yeah, I can do this.
Right.
Because we do have low down payment options. We do have down payment assistance options currently. And if you need the down payment, you can always take out a small second mortgage from your primary residence, use that as a down payment, and now you own 2 homes, which is something that we talk about, at length on this show is become a property owner. If you can't go buy a business and be a restaurant owner and an entrepreneur, you can create your own business by owning multiple rental properties. That's right. Someone can, do the property management for them, Matt Funk can do that, and you start making that money and you start building that wealth, building that legacy, and then when home values go up and you make the money that you want on your investment property, then you can unload it, stick it back in the market, do something along those lines.
Yeah. No, absolutely. There's no better time to be a landlord than now. You got rates at the 40 to 50-year lows. You've got appreciation in Tampa Bay, the affordability, the absence of a state income tax here in Tampa Bay. Or in Florida rather, and great time to be a landlord. The rents are rising. They've already rose. They are basically here. They're at maximum levels. People have to live somewhere, and you've got something like 1,000 people a day moving to the state of Florida, and I think a large percentage of those people moving to the Tampa Bay area, Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater, Bradenton, Sarasota, friends out in Lakeland, great area to be, great economy, strong projected growth. And, all of our mayors are doing a great job of growing this area as well. Great football teams, great, sports teams, and so many great things to do. So we want you reaching out. Go to our website, consumerqb.com. You can click on the Expert Contributors tab, see any one of our expert contributors. Anybody that's ever been on the show is going to be listed there at consumerqb.com, as well as give us a call at 813-917-1894. That's our hotline.
Welcome to my house.
All right, we're going to go ahead and jump into our lightning round. All right, top consumer tips, things to do, things to avoid, nuggets of advice. You're up first, Mr. Parsons.
Well, part of the fun of owning a New Orleans restaurant is that people have a preconceived idea of what to expect. I mean, if you've ever been to New Orleans, as I think most of the people in this room have been, there is this expectation of fun, good food, good drink, good music, great times.
Yep.
But a lot of people don't realize, though, that there's a difference between Creole and Cajun.
Interesting. Okay.
And do you know the difference between Creole and Cajun?
I can't say that I do.
Yeah, most people don't. They actually think that they're the same thing.
Right.
And so we're a Creole kitchen, and I'm from New Orleans, but my mother's Cajun. So I have kind of the best of both worlds. I grew up with Cajun cooking as my background.
Nice.
And the big difference is that Cajun cooking, think of it as country cooking.
Okay.
It's one pot cooking. Everything goes into a pot. You melt your vegetables,
Okay.
which is sauteing your vegetables. You throw in some flour, you throw in some chicken, you throw in some chicken stock, you throw in some vegetables, and then you just serve it out of one pot. Creole cooking is a mixture of French and Spanish and African and Irish.
Wow.
The whole Creole concept is an amalgamation of these different ethnic groups and Italian. So you can have an Italian Creole attitude, and that's sort of some of the best restaurants in New Orleans are Italian restaurants, but they're Creole Italian. So there's sort of a southern. A lot of people don't realize that tomatoes came from Africa. They didn't come from Italy. Okra is what's in gumbo, and the word gumbo means okra in West African dialect.
Interesting.
So when people say, the REQB's, it's the Cajun restaurant, well, we have some Cajun dishes, but primarily we're more Creole than we are Cajun. And the difference is the way that you prepare the foods with creams and cheeses and Creole that you just don't have and tomatoes. You don't see a lot of tomatoes in Cajun cooking. So.
I love it. Well, thanks for the history lesson there, educating us and letting us know. That's REQB's owner, Creole Kitchen, Cajun Dining and Catering, 11002 4th Street North, St. Petersburg. And we're talking with the owner here, Rick Parsons, in studio today. All right, quick tips, things to do, things to avoid. Naim, you're up now.
So we're seeing a big move into business these days. People don't want to work for big corporations.
Right.
They want to start their own business venture.
Yeah.
The one piece of nugget I can give anybody out there is don't do what's going to make you money. Right? Do something that you're passionate about.
Right.
You heard Rick's story.
Yep.
The reason that Rick was able to sustain all of the issues that he had, right, is because he has passion for that type of food.
That's right.
Right. Had he not had that, he would have given up a long time ago and lost all of his investment.
Yep.
Right. So if you're going to go out there and open a business, don't look at what is it that's going to make me the most money.
Yep.
Do something that you're passionate about, and the money will come.
Yeah, that's
great. And that way you don't give up on that dream.
Yep, absolutely, and it all boils down to your why. If you have a strong enough why, then you're going to be able to see it through the hard times. The capital crunches. Whatever might happen, be it internally, externally, regulation wise. If you have a strong enough why behind your reason for doing what you're doing, you're going to win. And
that's partially how we're successful.
Yeah.
Part of the reason that we started this whole business is because we're committed to those customers.
Yep.
My dad was a small business owner. We came here from a totally different country.
Yep.
Right? I've seen the struggles that he goes through.
Yep.
Right? And that's why we're committed to this business.
Love it.
We like working with people like this that have a dream and want to accomplish their dream, but they don't necessarily have the funding, or they can't go out to a bank and get the funding that they need.
I love it. Naim, Synergistic Funding, great content there. And Curt Lorden, Interlink Mortgage.
For all you USF fans and Florida State fans, Ohio State has a bye this week. We do our watch parties at Maloney's in Channelside. We are doing a USF and Florida State watch party at Maloney's. The game's at noon. We'll have food and drink specials. We're going to do a cornhole tournament and a 50-50 raffle, which is fantastic. And now we're coming up to the end of the year. We're approaching it.
Yep.
And now is the time, if you have a CPA, if you have a financial planner, get with me. Let's put all three of us together. We can start that financial checkup. That way you can roll into 2017 knowing exactly what your goals and your objectives are. That way you can start building, further building that wealth, or taking that first step to start building wealth.
That's right. Yeah, it's all about a comprehensive approach, comprehensive view to your fiscal health and your physical health. You think about it, you break it down, and we've got the solutions for you. My nuggets of advice for this show is going to be talking about the power of success. How you can be successful. And Jim Rohn has a great quote. It says, "Discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons." And you got to focus on what you want. So Napoleon Hill did a 25-year study interviewing 500 of the best and brightest business owners. We're talking about Edison, Carnegie, Ford, Firestone, and he wrote it in a book called Master Key to Riches. And last chapter, the number one success principle of all time, according to Napoleon Hill, is the power of self-discipline. And it's simply the ability to make yourself do what you should do, whether you feel like it or not. So that can relate to a lot of different areas. And a sociologist, Dr. Edward Banfield, did a study. It says why people move up and down the socioeconomic ladder, and it's about sacrifice. And it says the time perspective that you take into account when making that decision is the longer you look into the future, it's going to dictate the more successful you are. So we want you to go out there and please consider committing a random act of kindness, something as simple as packing up leftover food, handing it to a homeless person, or buying a serviceman or woman some food or coffee. And a great show today. I want to thank all of our expert contributors, the folks behind the scenes making this happen, and all of our listeners out there. So we'll see you next time, same time and place. Real Estate Quarterback Show, realestateradiotampa.com.